Earth as a singular planet. In fact, it is anything but. For this is a story not of a universe, but a multiverse, where universes and planets, such as Earth, were replicated and mirrored across a vibrating, infinite plane. Some barely different from the next. Others drastically so.
This is DC On Screen. Every week, Dave and Jason talk about the multiverse of DC properties on film and television. But be warned, if it's been officially released, you can expect they'll spoil it.
Welcome into DC On Screen. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
Guys, this is our 500th episode.
Whether you like it or not.
As such, it is a special episode. Kind of a special episode. We do have a number of pre-recorded segments from our fellow podcasters and listeners that's going to be peppered into the show. Or really just in chunks at the beginning, middle, and end, if I'm being honest.
And if you don't appreciate any of that, there's probably a skip forward 30 seconds button on your phone.
That's right. By the way, we did check into it, not counting episodes that we've done on other people's programs. That brings us to a whopping 349 hours and 3 minutes and 1 second. That's 14.54 days of just us talking.
Yeah, and probably 4 of those days were us taking a joke way too far.
Probably.
Just
so
guessing.
that means that by the end of this episode, we're going to be at 350 hours for sure.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What are you about to say,
We're gonna
man? I'm sorry.
We're going to trickle right over that little 350 ridge.
I don't want to start our 500th episode by interrupting you, man. I'm sorry.
Oh.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
This is why I generally let Jason talk. Memory of a goldfish.
Yeah, it's just, there's a dynamic. You understand it.
Yeah.
As you please.
Did you ever hear that old joke about why goldfish don't go insane? Because they're dropped in the bowl like, oh, hey, this is cozy. It's pretty nice. Mm-hmm. The walls are closing in. Oh, my God, I'm dying. Hey, this is pretty cozy. This is nice. I like it. Anyway, before we jump into the news.
That's why I have a therapist.
Before we jump into the news, I thought we'd listen to some of the voicemails we got up front. You feel like doing that, man?
Shoot.
I want to start off with a really nice one. Some of them got a little roasty. Some of these people were under the impression this was a roast, and that's okay.
Bring it.
Before we get there, I did tell Squadcast they could blow us up. That's what they do. I didn't want to steal their pearl. But first, we're going to go to Effie Ophelders of Stealing the Remote.
Hey Dave and Jason, Effie Ophelders from Stealing the Remote here, also known as the voice scaring away new listeners in the intro. I just wanted to congratulate you both on making it to 500 episodes of DC On Screen. I was curious to find out when I started listening, but as it turns out, I couldn't scroll back far enough, because it has literally been years now. I'm very glad we've become good friends since, and hopefully there will be many more years of podcasting. At our current rate, it will take me about 24 more years to catch up to your staggering episode count, and by that time you'll probably have quadrupled that. I figure we've both got that in us. I hope we'll think of some excuse to do a crossover episode again soon, and until then, I'll be keeping some DC on my screen.
Thank you for sending in a little recorded segment there, Effie. And we have been friends with Effie for years now, and that's weird to think about.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to Effie more than some family members.
Yeah. Also, crossover sounds fun.
It absolutely do. It does. It absolutely does. I ain't.
We gonna do that.
We've got to do another crossover. Yeah. We did a fantastic crossover with Effie. I'll link to it in the show notes because I'm honestly not sure if it's even in the RSS feed anymore.
Probably not. That's a fine point, and we have to look into and possibly torture the people that host our shows.
Well, most RSS feeds, if you go to iTunes or Stitch or anything, they're only going to show the latest 300 anyway.
Yeah, you have to really fight for it, find some back doors. But, God forbid someone not be able to listen to our take on news that happened 3.5 years ago.
Right. But our crossover with Effie was not that. It was an episode about, I think, what DC movies we would like to see. Mm-hmm. And we all came to the table with, I feel, compelling examples
of things that never happened.
Of what we would like to see presented on the silver screen. It was a really fun episode. I'll link to it. You can find all these things on our site, dconscreen.com, but I will link to it. Next up, we have the
thank you,
the
Effie.
rascally. Yeah, thank you, Effie. We have the rascally roasters here, Tim and Scott of Suicide Squadcast.
Hey, Scott, so we got that message from David reminding us that they're about ready to hit their 500th show on their podcast, which is amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
Seriously.
He says if you want to blow us, don't hesitate to do that. And isn't that a little bit direct? I mean, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that.
Tim, read it again, please. Just look at it one more time.
Yeah, he says if you want to blow us up. Oh, okay. That's a completely different message there.
Yeah.
Definitely reading that a little bit different.
Yes.
But at any rate, 500 episodes, that's fantastic. You know, they're going to be dropping a bunch of Lucifer coming up here. What is that? Another 13 episodes?
Oh, yeah. And then, Titans, there'll be 13 episodes. Doom Patrol, there'll be 13 episodes. You know what, Dave and Jason? You guys are going to be at 600 episodes before you know it. Good job for you.
Yes. No, fantastic. All kidding aside, you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
We're still blowing your asses up, though.
I mean, seriously, really. No.
Congratulations and goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, fellas. Those guys are just solid
They are.
all the way through.
You know what I love most about that?
What's that?
They literally use Lucifer as a threat.
Yeah, that's
how
a good
much
point.
none of us can get behind that show.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Yep. But yeah, they took a couple of digs. So to that I say, hey guys, blow me.
Ha!
There, it's official.
And the cycle is complete.
We should have those guys on again soon. We keep meaning to. We had Scott on, and then that didn't work out. Oh,
Yeah,
that was tragic.
That got befuddled. Now, joke's on them, though, with Lucifer. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
We're only really doing, I hadn't thought about this. Netflix normally drops everything at once, and we're just doing premieres and finales now, as far as reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we going to do, a back-to-back premiere review and a finale review for that season? I don't know.
No.
Just doing a season review.
I say we do the season review. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but the other day I read that it's only going to be 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's shortened. Shortened. That's true.
So,
It's great that they made a show about Satan leaving hell and have inadvertently created one for us.
right. But, without being too on the nose, I feel like it being shortened to 10 episodes is, a little bit of God smiling on me.
Yeah, it's fair. God, it's also celestial. The backstory of that show makes way more sense than the show, apparently. Way more going on there.
Yeah. All right, next up, and final for the moment, we have a message from Dr. Steve.
There is actual news coming.
Yeah, there is actual news coming. We have a message from Dr. Steve, though, of Weird Medicine. Another guy we have to have on again, because we'll link to his show, too. It was fantastic.
It was.
Here's Dr. Steve, guys.
Hello, Dave and Jason. It's your old pal, Dr. Steve from Weird Medicine, and congratulations on your 5,000th episode. I've been doing shows for 13 years. I'm only on 300 and some change. I guess it's easy to rack up big numbers when you're doing 10 special shows a week on things like the wardrobe of the male cast members of Legends of Tomorrow, specifically on the mid-season finale. But seriously, boys, there's only 2 podcasts I listen to every single week, and yours is one of them. Thanks for letting me be a minor part of your fandom, and I appreciate your friendship, and I hope DC never stops making movies and TV shows, and I hope you guys never stop talking about them.
For the unity, for dark side.
Doctor, thank you. We really do appreciate it. I appreciate your sarcasm about how easy it is to do 8 damn shows a week.
Mm-hmm.
You would know.
Yeah.
But mostly I'm loving the theme that people are like pulling out things that we specifically hate, like Legends of Tomorrow. I don't, but you specifically pick on Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I do.
It's almost like people are mentioning that we've created for ourselves some sort of vortex that we can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
But for real, thank you. And
Absolutely,
by the way,
thank you, man.
I do deeply love your theme music. Makes me happy every time I hear it.
it kind of reminded me, like, bringing in the theme music behind him speaking. That's just like old school radio right there.
Yeah, it's good. It's good production right there.
Absolutely. And I love how imaginative the description of how many shows we do and of what we do those shows about became. It was downright hyperbolic.
Right.
Holy crow, man.
This is the funny thing
Dr.
about
Steve.
Hearing, like, your 5,000th episode, and to some extent I'm like, yeah, it feels like that. Why?
It's like, did you secretly, like, write some of the lyrics to Albuquerque by Weird Al Yankovic? You absolutely do dish out some weird medicine, sir. And
but I've listened many a time. Some downright sensible, rational medicine.
Yes, fantastic show. And we do thank you for the segment. We thank you for the congratulations, for the disturbing 2 a.m. phone calls where you're panting and cursing, which, to me, does say friendship in a special kind of way.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, sir.
You can't get that out of a transient. Need someone you're connected to.
We're going to get to some news now.
Yeah, let's do actual news.
And we've got more voicemails coming up later. So, Production Weekly, which is a legitimate site, folks, just so you know, they did a recent listing. Batman is going to begin production in spring 2019, and that was also confirmed by Matt Reeves a few weeks ago. And the report does state that Ben Affleck is on board as a producer. We don't know if he's going to be in the thing, but just letting you know where that is. And by the way, Humberto Gonzalez said some stuff today about how he checked in to get an update, whatever the hell that means.
Right, yeah.
And it's going to
Just
be
texting
like
Warner Brother exec bros.
Yeah, he's like, it's going to be late July at least, and blah, blah, whatever. Production Weekly's legit. We're going with that. Until another legit operation comes in and says, hey, it's changed. And I'll be like, I'll be damned. Humberto was right.
I'm going to use a word. It doesn't get used a lot in our circles these days. Corroborated.
That's right.
Corroborated. Spell it with me. Corroborated.
No, I'm not spelling that.
I don't want to either.
I'm not sure I can.
Just move right past it. The meaning of the term is what I need.
C-O-roberated.
There you go. Well done. You get a banana sticker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
By the way, what do you think the listeners would do if I started each story with like one of those cheesy introduction puns like on Entertainment Tonight?
I don't know. Some combination of joy and a lot of iPhones being broken.
As I was just thinking, like, I could have reported that Affleck news with, well, it looks like Ben Affleck's Batman Bat and Forth continues this week.
See, I'll laugh at that, and then there might be a point where you have to edit in. Jason just called me, and it appears he's broken his mic. He unhinged it. He threw it against the wall, and is now taking what he calls a rage nap.
A rage nap. Just to get the blood pressure back to a manageable level.
Right.
All right, so Deadline is reporting that Warner Brothers is, quote, very vocal about wanting to employ another female director for Supergirl. And I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are kind of trying to argue with it, but, you know, I think it makes absolute sense right now. It's the best shot on every conceivable level to be as relatable to female fans looking for a hero, while giving shots to female directors. Makes all the sense in the world. I do think it's funny because Deadline just like totally makes Warner Brothers sound like they're walking around town clanging a big ass pot. Like, look what we're doing. No one else is doing this. We've got all the women. We're going to screw around and we're going to think the WB stands for Woke Brothers.
Yeah, give it time.
And the Deadline article does go on to list off several other women directing either produced or upcoming Warner Brothers projects. And, you know, they get into, you know, some of them have written these things as well. And that's awesome. The DC stuff, though, is Andrea Berloff's scripted and directed The Kitchen, which is based off of a Vertigo line that's not actual DC Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Wonder Woman 1984 by Patty Jenkins, New Gods, Ava DuVernay, and Kathy Yan on Birds of Prey. So that's all cool stuff. I totally get where they're coming from on that. Don't bother me.
Yeah. No, I'm down.
Yeah.
I mean, it would seem to be a good decision for him in a lot of ways. Like, Patty Jenkins made them a shit ton of money, and I think got their highest critical reception so far. Also, you know, there are tons of good, you know, like female directors. Just open the door a little bit, and you're gonna find some like new takes on things. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But it is
by
a
the
little
way,
complicated though. Like I do see what you're saying though. Like sometimes I do kind of crack up about, and I also don't know how to feel about it sometimes where like there's a press release and you're like, dude, just is your arm okay? Like that's a lot of padding on that back there. Like, are you? I don't know how to feel about that sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is what you like. Well, guess what we're gonna do?
Like on the one hand,
Look
I'm
how
like,
awesome we are.
Yeah, that should be celebrated. That's a really good idea. Push, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, and then on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, but I don't. Like, are you supposed to be congratulating yourself for that? I don't know where it's real weird for me. I don't know where the right place to put my feet is on that one.
Yeah. Oh, man. Actually, in related news, though, roughly a third of Twitter just collectively went, what's a girl know about comics?
Right, yeah. Because that's apparently still a thing we're worried about.
And by the way, this is all I'm going to say.
I mean,
on it,
a lot of
can
those
we-
people are
can we
still
stop running?
coping with the idea that women are allowed to read.
Yeah. Look, this is all I'm going to say about this, but can we please stop running our DC stars off of Twitter and anyone else? Damn it. Can we be adults and be people?
Without going into details, because it hardly warrants the discussion,
Ugh.
I second that, and
Absolutely.
let's just go with it. Stop weaponizing that damn social media service.
That and Instagram.
Is Instagram getting that bad now? I'm not on Instagram at all. Is it getting bad too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, they're shutting off their comments. And I think that's why they're leaving Twitter, because Twitter doesn't allow you to shut off the comments, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Then,
Heroic
what are you doing on
Hollywood.
Instagram? You're just posting something into the nothingless void. I don't understand that either. It's we live in a.
I mean,
we live
people
in a
can
weird
still
world.
like it. People can still like it and reblog it, I guess.
Okay.
Repost. Heroic Hollywood, and what they are deeming an exclusive.
I love how that's a
Is-
punchline by itself.
Yeah, is reporting that WB is interested in casting a biracial actress to play Black Canary in Birds of Prey. That was the headline.
Okay.
Now, I don't care about that. Honestly, it just sounds like clickbait to me. Like,
That's the kind
we
of
knew Robbie.
literally that's the kind of headline where I would just assume a producer half said something and they just went with it.
Well, we knew Margot Robbie and company were looking to make this film diverse from the get-go. They've been saying that.
Yeah.
So, and look, I don't know. You know how, like, in the old days when you looked at comics, because they didn't have, like, the nuance in like, the color technology, anyone with dark hair you just assumed was somewhat ethnic. I thought she might be Italian or Spanish anyway. I don't know.
You're talking about like back in like the soybean printed pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
don't know.
when you couldn't tell
Like,
which color Hulk was supposed to be because he was just gray last week. What happened?
Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, the blonde wig has always been a wig. Like, that was her identity, concealer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can already hear the problems on Twitter.
I know.
But I don't give a shit about that. But what did set off alarms was this next bit, though. It says, according to an insider, the studio is looking for an actress to play a world-weary Black Canary who has the ability to sing. This may have been the role Lady Gaga was approached for, but ultimately passed on. And it appears Warner Brothers wants to go in a different direction as well. And I don't remember hearing anything about Lady Gaga being approached for this role. And honestly, at first I was like, oh, thank the High Father, that shit didn't happen. But it like, because when you say Lady Gaga being approached for a role like Black Canary, you're like, oh god, they're still following down that same tattoo parlor perspective Ayer and Suicide Squad started. And they still might be, but
I don't know.
I did look around.
My only concern when I glanced at that headline was like, oh, are we just kind of just grabbing people with a name just because that might help?
Yeah.
Or...
Well, she's a little weird.
Yeah,
but
but good,
but
like the good kind of weird. Like I like her kind of
sometimes. Like, but you know what? I did look around before I judged her because I was like, does she even act? I looked around.
That was
She
my main
in,
question. I didn't look into it.
She was in American Horror Story and did a pretty damn good job based on the scenes I saw. I mean, that show is weird anyway. Weird in a way that, like, Gotham aspires to be. But I saw this trailer for a movie called A Star Is Born with Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga, and Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
It looks really good. And she looks really good. Like, her acting is pretty damn on point, from what I can tell in the trailer.
Huh.
So we might be missing out after all.
So now you're sad. Okay.
Yeah,
That was
turns
the main
out she's
thing.
a pretty
my
good actor.
only concern was are we just grabbing people because the headline is good?
Yeah,
And then
that was my concern.
My second thought was, I've never seen her act before.
Yeah.
Is that a believable thing? And okay, well.
Yeah. Turns out she's a pretty good actor when she's not wearing raw meat bikinis.
Oh, here's also well, that's pretty good acting too in a way.
Yeah, I guess so in a way.
If here's a pretty good lesson for this. As you said, that has never really been reported, right? And now suddenly,
not to my knowledge. No.
I've never run across that one. That was completely new to me. And now it's basically she's passed on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's true, imagine how many other times we've read a headline about someone as being considered for a role, and that must be bullshit.
Right.
If
and
one, then the other kind of thing.
And we're going to get into that here in a second.
Yay!
But yeah, there's a rumor site called Crazy Days and Nights that is bringing back up that old March news that Tom Cruise is in talks to star as the lead Green Lantern. And but with one major caveat, they say, which I won't talk about because if it's true, it would be a major spoiler. Now, the original version of this story, though, came out in March, and I'm not sure that Johns had started writing his version of the script. So they may have been talking about Goyer's version of that script. But honestly, I would prefer to leave Tom Cruise out of this impossible mission, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see Tom Cruise play Hal Jordan.
I really don't.
And I don't need the Owens replaced with Zeno, dictator of the Galactic Confederacy. So... Can we just pass on that?
Or at least made an allegory for. No, I don't need that. I don't.
Right. By the way, Charles Roven, before losing his power, wanted Mark Wahlberg to play Hal Jordan.
No!
Bullet dodged, huh?
I don't have I don't have a problem with those people for other roles. Like I hear Mission Impossible, was it Fallout, is amazing. I
don't know.
I have heard. Was it?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I have heard that movie
called.
is so good that at this point I'm considering actually going back and watching the Mission Impossible catalog so I can watch that movie. That's how much good cheer I hear around that movie.
All I can speak for is the first three, and 1 and 3 are great, and number 2 is really pretty.
I think I've seen those 3. But
yeah.
I'm considering going back and getting in that catalog again just so I can watch this movie because I hear such good things. And
Yeah,
I'm
agreed.
fine with Tom Cruise.
Plus Simon Pegg.
Yeah, plus Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg is always a plus for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I like him in those movies. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of movies I like Mark Wahlberg in. Ted comes to mind, but I don't.
Absolutely. I don't hate Mark Wahlberg.
It's not the kind of thing where I hear it and think, "Oh, that's a Green Lantern." No, I kind of want somebody that's out of nowhere. Like I don't really want a huge name attached to that role. That's my first thought with Green Lantern.
You know, with Hal Jordan specifically, I've only ever had one actor in mind for him.
Uh-huh.
And if they really wanted to do a passing of the torch, or lantern, I guess, as it were,
Passing
they
of
could
the
still
ring,
do
really.
it. Right. They could still do it if they wanted to go with, hey, Hal is old and grizzled. But ever since I was little, I've always wanted Dennis Quaid to play Hal Jordan.
That's an odd choice, sir.
I don't know why. It's not like I said Randy Quaid.
I mean, it's not that odd, but that one would not have come to mind. If you'd given me 50 guesses and all the IMDb time and I wanted, I might not have come across that.
That's the only person I've ever thought of, really. Like, I don't know. He's got, like, the cocksure attitude, but also, like, the cantankerous, like, grumbly, like, this shit again type of thing going on. I think he would be perfect.
I'm not
Anyway.
willing to disagree with you, but I think I would still rather that than what we've got. I mean, or what we have in the rumor mill, at least. I'm just
Right.
not digging that at all. Not digging what we're hearing from Cruise and Wahlberg at all. And
by the way, I also love that Ryan Reynolds has come out and been like, yeah, I never wanted to play Green Lantern. I wanted to play The Flash. And they were like, no, we're doing Green Lantern. I'm like, all right.
It would have been a better call, frankly.
Yeah, he should have been The Flash.
Yeah. But, and I'm not even sure who I would pick. Like, I'll give it some time. Maybe I'll come up with something that I can suggest that I can really get behind.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that comes to mind that really gets, it's just that, and I hate to just be negative about it, but I'm just not feeling these.
I mean, you know, there was a point where I would have said Nathan Fillion, but
Like, there's a part of me that wants it to be somebody, yeah. But there's a part of me that
he has played Green Lantern, though.
Yeah, he has. And it makes his heart very warm, and I love that for him. But part of me wants to say is like, there should be someone who's kind of like looks John Hamm-y, but isn't John Hamm. Like,
I don't know. I don't see that.
I don't know. I would need time with that, but I'm just not feeling.
You just need Army Hammer. That's what you need.
I do
kind
of almost need Army Hammer. It's not a bad call.
You know who would have been good if he wasn't cast for Orm would be Patrick Wilson.
Yes, that would be sweet.
He would have been good.
Yeah, I would have. I could deal with that. All right. Well, I'll get into dream casting some other time.
Yep. Moving on over.
Have like a tweet from me like midweek, and I'll wake from a fever dream Tuesday morning next week and be like, "It should be so-and-so."
Yeah, I'm gonna get just a random tweet that's like Clint Howard, and I'll be like, "What? Clint Howard? Really? I mean, it's inspired. I never would have thought. I think he can actually pull it off."
You're gonna get a tweet. No, you're gonna get like just a message in the middle of the night, like 2:30 in the morning, that just says Sarah Jessica Parker. I'll explain later. And then you're gonna keep calling the next day, wanting to know what's happened, and by Thursday you'll learn that like, oh, he went to the hospital. He had terrible food poisoning.
Oh, I do have what I feel is inspired casting for Guy Gardner. Mm-hmm. Bill Burr. Right?
Yes. Yes.
That's right. You can take that to the bank.
Oh, God damn. Yes, that's good.
How much would you love to see Batfleck just like knock him out with one punch?
Oh, yeah. And I know he can act. You saw him in Breaking Bad.
Uh-huh.
And I've heard his voice acting on F is for Family, and it's fantastic. I know he can act. Mm-hmm. And I know he's exactly the kind of aggressive asshole that would do that. That is perfect. That is inspired. Fantastic job, sir.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to lead into a voicemail from Chris White, one of our oldest listeners. Maybe our first listener. Certainly the first to leave us a message.
First to call back from the void.
Absolutely. We saw numbers, but we didn't know anyone was really listening.
Right. All right, let's play it.
Yeah. Over the years, we've formed a friendship with Chris, and here's his voicemail.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Jason. Long time no talk. I don't really call in a whole lot. This is Chris, by the way. Because I don't always feel like I have something worthwhile to add to the show or, part of the conversation. I mean, most of the time you guys pretty much articulate what I'm thinking or I'm right there with you. But a few things I wanted to address right quick is, the first thing is, I absolutely adore the Shazam teaser trailer that we got. The one thing that bugged me about it at first is that it seems like Zachary Levi's head is a little disproportionate to his body. It's kind of called to mind that conversation in the art gallery that Mr. Glass had, or Elijah Price, with his client there in Unbreakable. But I just got so immersed in like the little bit of world building that they had, and his performance as Shazam, that I completely let go of it. I mean, if a teaser trailer can make me overlook something that was bugging the hell out of me that bad, I think the movie's going to be amazing. Added to much, needed levity, a lot of people would probably say, although I haven't really had an issue with that.
All right, now I do want to be clear about something. There were more things Chris was trying to say in that voicemail, but it got garbled. I guess he went through a bad spot. He drives a truck.
So
and
he went through God knows where, God knows what state.
God knows where. It got garbled when it came back. I couldn't tell what he was talking about. And then his sentence got cut off because he literally just stops talking and goes, "Oh," and switches his phone line over because I was calling him to chat.
Which is fantastic.
So, that's what we have. Now, I agree, obviously the Shazam trailer looks fantastic. I don't agree necessarily that he looks very disproportionate.
I didn't get that.
But I guess if he does, look, you could chalk it up to cartoonish childhood fantasy or something. Me personally, I grew up with my walls covered in superheroes, so, I think it's fair to say that I have body image issues.
There's some cognitive dissonance in that area.
So, maybe his head does look a little weird in relation to the rest of his body, but I will say that Zachary Levi is friggin' jacked.
Yeah.
For this role.
Yeah. He did his part in the gym for this thing.
Looks great.
I don't quite see what he's talking about on that point. Might be worth going back to investigate. But what I do love, either way, is that the trailer, he came around and he's excited about it now.
Yeah. By the way, that doesn't sound great. I guess we're just going to have to go back and investigate Zachary Levi's glistening,
giant
rippling
skull.
body.
Yeah, or mini skull. I mean, yeah, no.
Oh, his skull.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just have to investigate his skull and then glance.
We have
at
to
the
say
shoulder
skull,
link.
not head, because then that gets back into.
I don't know. I mean, we'll just do it on different levels. Maybe a combined approach. It's really the best way to do the science. I also want to point out that it frightens me on every level that Chris feels like we cover the thoughts that are in his head so well that he doesn't need voicing them anymore. And also, I'm kidding you, beautiful bastard. Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like I want to make a joke about we tell you what to think, but that's not true.
We don't have the technology. And certainly not the resources.
We would if we could. Lord knows we don't have the ethics. But
I'm fuck out of scruples, but I don't have the time.
I thought scruples were something you used for a salad.
Chewing on with some bacon bits years ago.
All right, so we're going to go from one of the oldest listeners of the show to one of my oldest friends. I've known this guy since we were 5 years old. I don't want to date myself, but let's just say 30 years. We've been friends for 30 years.
Hi, David and Jason. This is Matt from the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Congratulations on 500 episodes. I'm really proud of you guys. No matter what anyone says, quantity over quality should be admired, looked up to. Yeah, I really, really do love you guys' show. I'm hopeful for lots of great DC things coming in the future, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about them, and I appreciate you guys being there so that I can learn about them, because you guys are where I get my DC information. Here's to another 500 episodes. Love the show. Peace.
Matt Carroll of the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, everyone. Thank you, Matt. Good words pass between old turds. Ah? Go listen to this guy's show if you dig Marvel. Now, his co-host, warms his Winter Soldier every time a DC movie flops. But
Yeah.
Matt's a good bloke, and it's a good show. And by the way, Matt's new album, Left to Burn, is on iTunes and Spotify. Plug. It actually is good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's
yes,
funny
we're not
listening to this
joking.
voicemail.
Jeff just DC hates. We don't know why. It's in his blood somehow.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
DC hurt his father in some way that he's never told us about.
Right.
But
It's
like, and he
it's a
watched
strange thing.
the whole thing happen, and then he was told, "Forget, please forget. It's best for our family.
He was
Never call the people.
yeah,
Never call."
right. Jeff was hiding under a bed while Dan DiDio shot his father. You see.
Something along those lines.
Just like Jefferson Pierce, he went, Dad,
Yeah.
like 5
It
times.
was rough. There's a lot of stuff I want to add to that. It's not. There's something about. I'm just going to walk away from that. But it's a bad image, and I don't know what happened. But yes, he does hate them very much. But Matt is always there to laugh at the hate and say, "Oh, come on, man."
Yeah. And it cracked me up, though, hearing him talk about quantity over quality, because he's been talking to me a lot about songwriting and about creating, and about how he believes that quantity breeds quality.
Oh no, he's right about that though.
Sort of the Edison approach. Like, you just fail like a shit ton of times, and then finally stumble upon something that's right.
No, it's the right thing. I know a lot of musicians. That's the procedure. You sit, and I've always liked the George Harrison theory. Like, if you sit down and you start writing a song, do not leave that spot until you finish writing the song.
Right.
Don't come back to it. Don't get the verse and say, I don't know, come back and see where it goes. Just write the song. Good or bad, better or worse, whatever. But then, hit it down, get the demo, come back later, kill your darlings, whatever.
Right.
He's not alone. Like, he was saying something about, like, he wrote like 100 songs and has 12 that are on this album or something like that. I forget the numbers exactly, but it was like a ridiculous amount of songs, and then here's what's on this latest album. Like, my friend Michael, the guy who helped us record the intro to this thing, that's same thing. Every time he has a new album come out, it's seriously like, I got like, I don't know, 80, 100, 120. So one time he told me he had 200 songs he's working on at one time. So how are you doing that? I can't remember 200 tasks that I'm doing at the same time. You just go back and listen to them and play. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same
or you
thing.
could go the Rivers Cuomo approach, which is he just like he has transcribed like bits of like lyrics and put them into software, And whenever he's writing a song now, he just like uses that shit as like a rhyming dictionary.
Nice.
Which is why Weezer sucks now.
It's a nice method, though. That could be harnessed in a way.
It could be harnessed.
Like, in a way to get your own words to inspire you to like sit down. But if you lean
think
on
that
it too
until
much,
you hear like the last 6 albums and you go, oh man.
So he just wrote "In My Garage" and walked away from having feelings. Gotcha.
Yeah, well, no, he wrote Pinkerton and walked away from having feelings.
He didn't so much walk away. The press dragged the feelings out of him and stomped on him until they were so far below the ground he'd never see him again. That's what happened.
Yeah, I'm not. That's what I think actually happened. Like Pinkerton was pretty heavily panned, from what I understand. And anyway, as for Matt's, and now you're espousing the same belief. As for the belief of quantity breeding quality, we've done. At the end of this, it'll be 500 episodes, and I hope one day that we do a good one.
Yeah, maybe there's half a dozen of those that are good out of it. We didn't get to pare anything down.
Right.
All our quantity goes on the air.
No. Unfortunately, we don't learn anything.
No. As you espoused earlier, memory of a goldfish. Every week, I get on this podcast and I think the walls are closing in, Oh, God, I'm going to die. And then it's fine, and we stop recording, and we come back the next week, and I'm like, cool, let's start.
Which is funny, because I feel that way right before the show.
Right before we hit record, I'm like, yeah, cool, what's up? Let's get started. I'm chatting about bullshit.
I've got like a knot in my stomach and I'm shaking. I'm like, oh God, I don't think, how am I going to do this? I'm like Larry David. Like, how am I going to do another one of these shows?
Yeah.
Not well, it turns out.
Said the other shoulder.
We have another voicemail here from Brent from Fans Without Borders and DCTV Squadcast.
I remind you at this point that whatever you're watching or listening to this on probably has a fast forward feature.
Hey guys, this is Brent from Fans Without Borders and DCTV Squadcast. I just wanted to call and congratulate you on 500 episodes. That is a phenomenal achievement, and who would have thought you two would have pulled it off? So keep it rolling and keep some DC on your screen.
Brent. Who would have thought we would pull it off? Well, we did. There are like 2 to 3 hours, seriously, of talking on either side of every recording, man.
Yeah, that's like the missing backstory. Is as long as we've been, what was it, 14 days worth of talk, 14 and a half days worth of us doing this stuff. But like we lived together for a couple of years before we did this.
And I was saying back then, like around hour 5 of every conversation, as we were, sitting in that kitchen,
standing in the kitchen,
talking about comics. Well, standing most of the time, yeah.
Refusing to sit for reasons I don't understand.
Guzzling milk because we needed coating for our throats from the talk.
Right.
I would say, like, we've got to make this into a podcast. We're cracking each other up, and we didn't do it until after I moved out.
Right. Which was probably better for audio quality, looking back.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Our early audio quality needed a lot of improvement.
But, thank you for the congrats.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening, Brent. I know you do. I do wonder, though, like, why you Squadcast guys got to be throwing so much shade, baby?
I don't think there's another way to do it, man.
They so salty.
That is the appropriate way.
By the way, I'm like a heavy white dude. Like, I'm almost translucent.
It's true.
And I'm easily burned. The first time I ever heard someone talk about throwing shade, I thought that is like the coolest Mortal Kombat projectile ever. Like, I just wish someone could throw shade at me while I'm toiling away in the Alabama sun mowing the friggin' grass,
Yeah.
Like,
you wished you had a sidekick suddenly. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Anyway.
They don't even have to x-ray you when you go to the hospital. They just look really hard.
Yeah. The guy squints.
Just adjust his glasses a bit. Yeah.
All right. We're going to jump into some DCTV news. Not like a ton. It's not going to be like super spoilery or anything. But if you're not into that, you can just listen to us later. Listen to us somewhere else or something. I don't know. Stop listening. I don't know. You can call us, though, 205-259-6331 to leave us a voicemail, as many of these fine people have done.
Clearly the number
works. Or you
works.
could just, if you've got like a nice mic or something and know how to use it, you can record a thing and send it to dconscreen@gmail.com. You can also find every episode at dconscreen.com, or you can come join us in the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/DC-on-screen-podcast.
We're findable.
Yeah, we are absolutely findable. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere.
And by the way, if
we
you
are gonna have
don't know how to use your mic, that might be even funnier. So just send that too.
That might be.
Send all the test takes.
It never sounds as funny as it actually is.
Oh, it's funny when somebody else hears it.
So, we're going to jump into DCTV. We do have some more voicemails coming. I'm excited to get to those. But first, we're going to do this Gotham, man. We haven't had a lot of Gotham news. I think they're trying to keep a lot of stuff under wraps. But that hashtag show has revealed that they are adding a new character. They're adding 2 new characters. But the other one sounds like a whole cloth character, and I don't know what to do with it. So we're not talking about that.
Okay.
That's boring shit.
We will deal with that when the time arises.
But this one is Eduardo Dorrance, and they're describing him as a male in his mid-30s to early 40s of any ethnicity. He's being described as a very fit person, a warrior who is a tireless soldier that follows every kind of order he's given and is intolerant to betrayal. Now, in the comics, there was a guy named Edmund Dorrance, and that was King Snake. Mm-hmm. And King Snake had like a little history with the British Army. He was a merc. He was also the father of Bane.
Lord, I forgot that part.
That might be a thing they're building to in Gotham here.
That might be a damn nice touch-in. They don't have time though to have Bane, right? They just have a time to
I don't
tie
know.
it in and maybe like I kind of want them to leave the series to some extent seeding the idea that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to show up later. Like I don't need to see them all. I kind of want them to wrap up the series. I mean, it's right. This is their final seat. There's no, you're not pass and go, man. Like this is it. I wanted to wrap up what they've shown us and also kind of seed in. Oh yeah, like this is cool to me if that's what they're doing is like showing us later. Like he gives some little boy a teddy bear and sends him off kind of thing or whatever. Like
osito.
Yeah. Like that to me would be fantastic if they just seed in a few people that are we're gonna definitely see later when this is a full Batman universe for this character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but still nice to have around. That's a good call there. I approve.
That's interesting. We've got some Doom Patrol news. Joy Van Wade, who it was in the first Purge, has officially been named as Doom Patrol's Cyborg, who's going to be pitting them on this mission. And, I've never seen any of the Purge movies.
No, not a one.
I always sort of felt like they were kind of just rip-offs of the Star Trek episode Return of the Archons.
I was just never super interested in the premise, so never got around to seeing any of it. But
yeah, I like the premise in Rick and Morty. That was kind of fun when they did that.
Yeah, and that was just, that was one giant call-out. Like, that was the most fun I've ever had, maybe with that premise, is them making fun of it.
Yeah. That was the closest I've come to actually watching one of those movies.
Yeah.
I was tempted with the first Purge because Marissa Tomei is in it, but I was still like, no, that's not worth watching all the others because I'm a completist. I'd have to watch all the others.
I mean, I've watched scenes here and there to see if I was interested in it. I don't really care. Sorry, Purgists. I just haven't really cared.
Yeah.
But
Purgists.
I do like there being so many cyborgs right now. That's pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, here's the other part. I'm not so interested in any one cyborg that I'm offended by there being another version of it. That's fine. Don't care.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And
it's called a multiverse.
Yeah, I do get that Warner Brothers was like, Cyborg's a great character. You should use it. I mean, I get that. That's fine. To me, that's fine.
All right, over to The Flash. Well, there's a new Flash suit for Season 5. This thing got leaked. It got taken down. People were a bunch of hateful, stupid dicks to Grant Gustin. But they did release some real photos of the new Season 5 Flash suit. And I dig it, man. I like the suit itself. I know you don't notice costumes.
I don't. Big blind spot for me.
But this thing is like way less bulky. It's very sleek. It looks a lot more comic accurate. My one point of contention is that the mask doesn't have the chin guard. And I like the chin guard. But I think I'd get used to it. It's just like looking at pictures of Abraham Lincoln without the beard. Or like looking at my dad without a cigarette. Like when my dad first quit, I was like, who the hell? Oh, Dad. It's going to take me a minute.
Yeah. It for some reason, it doesn't hit my radar. Like, I will eventually notice it, But the first time, and this has happened every time with every one of these shows, unless I see it like, hey, new costume. And even then, I have to go back and look at the old one to see what the difference is sometimes. It just, I don't know, man. It does not, I don't get all the fine points of a costume like just doesn't register. So when I go to the next one, I don't know. Not a thing that pops into my brain. But I liked this one. When they pointed out, hey, a new costume, I kind of thought, oh, cool. Yeah. But that's another part of the way I operate with costumes is like every time they show me a new one, for the most part, I'm like, oh, cool. Let's try that out for a year. I also kind of get, like, if they wanted to use the same costume every year just for budget purposes, I would get that. But they also, like, they do devote enough time to these shows that they're kind of adapting. And they want to make sure visually it's fresh, so they're putting some thought and time into that, and a little bit of love apparently into that. And I can appreciate that. Or like, you remember the early Barry Allen comment, like Grant Gustin commenting that like, oh, the costume's changing, and now they don't have to latex my face for 5 hours, that kind of stuff. That I can really appreciate. Like, yeah, we're gonna try to get Grant. I think he's gonna maybe lose his damn mind if we keep doing it that way. Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look pretty good though.
All right. There's a bit of casting news I thought I'd talk about. Kiana Madeira is being brought in to play Spencer Young, a.k.a. Spin. And they're describing her as a young, aspiring social media influencer who seizes the opportunity to make herself famous when she discovers there is a new hero in Central City. And she's going to be coming in around episode 504. Now, in the comics, they got a little weird. The comics, it was a guy, and his name was Auerbach. And he was a journalist who hooks up this cat, Edward Martinez, into a bunch of devices into the basement of the news network building that Auerbach works at. And this dude can turn people's fears into reality. So it feels like they're streamlining it, which is probably good.
I mean, just kind of consolidating that.
Right.
Probably a good call.
Yeah.
Probably a good call.
Either way, Spin is going to be, turning people's fears into reality, which I kind of feel like may have seen before on the Flash. It feels. I seem to remember there may have been a Godzilla type of character roaming around the city or something that turned out to be not real.
Yeah, some of that.
But anyway, I suspect she'll use the powers for all sorts of knavery.
Possibly, but her being a journalist in particular, I feel like. To some extent, it feels like...
No.
Oh, social media.
Aspiring social media influencer. That is not a journalist.
That's my point. Don't you feel like we fight that in our own fan base sometimes?
Yeah. I feel like it could be a potentially even relevant villain in this world of fake news. Absolutely.
As though we've almost covered that earlier in this exact podcast a couple times.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that it's, I don't know. To me, I read that they were going to do that with Spin and thought, oh, yeah. No, I think they're just talking about their fans now. Mm-hmm. They're so-called journalists.
They're talking about the bloggers, guys.
They're
talking about Scott Mendelson. That's who they're talking about. Yeah. Let's not sugarcoat it. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Oh, man.
Is there a hashtag that's like hashtag fucking calm down?
Probably. I don't know. Just hashtag and start writing it and say.
It just needs to be attached to almost everything that is posted about DC at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just whatever you're trying to say, and then right at the end of it, mandatorily, hashtag calm down.
Yeah. I feel a little sad because when we were talking about Tom Cruise, I didn't mention that I didn't think he was going to play him. Like, I don't think I mentioned that I think the whole story is horseshit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I think the whole story is horseshit.
We'll go ahead and make our call on that one.
Yeah.
Probably not a thing.
Stephen Amell on Twitter says, watching someone try on a superhero suit for the first time never gets old.
Yeah, that actually does sound really funny.
I say just as long as they know you're watching, Stephen.
Even from closed circuit TV, it is kind of creepy.
Yeah, I read that tweet and got shivers. Like that's. I like Steven. I think he's a good guy.
I don't
know
think
him
that's
personally,
actually what's happening here, but I feel you.
Yeah,
I do also think though he's probably very right about that. Like either they try it on and then they look in the mirror and like almost tearfully think, "Oh God, this is the most amazing thing I've done." Because in my head, you either do that or you you look at it, look in the mirror, and think almost angrily, "What are you trying to do to me? Why would you do that to this character? What is happening right now?"
Right.
And either reaction sounds hilarious to sit there and watch.
You and I both experienced that when we did Batman: The Short Halloween.
Yes.
We looked at ourselves and said, "Oh,
it
what
was
are we
all
doing
the
to
latter
these characters?"
Yeah. There was no former.
Oh man. Amell also tweeted out, "Been trying to grow my beard to look like the iconic image of Green Arrow. 5 months in, I'm closer to Thanos."
I just saw a tweet of his, like, somewhere before I called you to start. That was just like a close up of his chin, and it just said, like, "This is getting untenable." That poor guy.
Yeah.
What you do for your art.
All right, we're going to wrap up with some more listener feedback and voicemails and things. We're out of news, I'm afraid. First up, we have Anthony Brooklyn Batman on Twitter, and he left us this voicemail.
Hey, this is Anthony, aka Brooklyn Batman on Twitter. Just want to wish you guys congratulations and love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to many more with Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman, DC streaming service, much more good stuff on the way. So just want to say thank you and looking forward to hearing you guys in the future.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
You know, we look forward to more of our shit, too.
Yeah.
Because we're conceited bastards.
No. But yeah, I do enjoy doing it, so.
I know, like, halfway through the week when I've listened to the show like 5 times.
Right.
And I don't listen.
More and more, you're like, this is glorious. Why don't we do more of this?
Let's do 5,000 or whatever.
We should go back to 8 episodes a week.
Yeah, whatever ungodly number it was, Dr. Steve said.
Yeah, that one actually, it did hurt me a little bit. Anthony, by the way, I constantly enjoy your Twitter presence. It makes me happy.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, Michael Kennedy has left us a message here, and I'm gonna go in a little. He says y'all a lot, and I know he lives here in Alabama, so I'm going to evoke more of a Southern accent here. I don't know what Michael sounds like. Hey, y'all! That's for Jason. I know he likes the y'all. Do you like the y'all? Is that a thing that we've discussed?
I don't remember.
Happy 500.
I'm torn on it. Some part of it, like, I do think it's a very effective conjugate. I do.
Mm-hmm. It is. You all.
Conjugation? Conjugation, I think. Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know. Combine those 2 words into something that's right.
Conjunction?
Scott, get back to me. No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been too long. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been too long. Scott, correct us.
Happy 500th. I've been listening to you guys for probably about 1.5 years now. I love the show and appreciate having y'all to keep me up to date. The input you guys have is great, whether I agree with it or not. And I'd love just the genuine nerd talk. Yeah. I remember being concerned when y'all decided to make a change in the way you did the show. Sorry. However, I think it's worked well. I'm glad you both decided to go with the change. I mean, all right. I don't know what the alternative was there.
It was very much a back against the wall. We have to do this, but thank you for appreciating it. Thank you,
Michael. We were dying.
Our skin was paper thin. Our bones were made of hopes. It was getting rough. If I looked too long at a blank space, all I saw was my own deaths. It was getting bad.
Again, happy 500th, and here's to many more. Keep up the great work, guys. P.S. David, don't tease me with barbecue and nerd talk. That's like telling Kevin Smith about a weed bar that also has all-you-can-eat Funyuns. Well, I think Kevin might be cutting back these days, Mike. But, dude, I absolutely want to do, like, an annual barbecue, like a DC on-screen barbecue.
Oh, sure.
I really do.
Yeah, that's not a tease. We just need to do some coordination here.
We need coordination and money. That's what we need.
Coordination and cow.
Maybe we should, like, focus on, like, getting a bigger base in Alabama, because most of our listens look like comes from New York. And I don't think people are coming from New York.
They're not. They're not going to probably travel down for that. We can at the very least we can get all us together. All the ones we currently have. Wait for Chris White to drive through town. All y'all.
Get all y'all together.
Wait for Chris White to drive through town, and we got something.
Well, if we give Chris enough notice, he might be able to just get off for it.
Possibly.
But
anyway, point is, we're going to make it happen at some point.
We're going to make it happen at some point, and the first word of it will probably be in the DC On Screen Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, come on over, y'all.
That is going to happen.
I just thought of that little, what was the little coal miner guy? A little gold, I don't even know what he was, on Aqua Teen. Come Mr. Jiggling, y'all. Come on over, y'all. Thank you so much for writing in, Michael. I don't know what you want to be called or what you sound like. I'm sorry if I offended you. Please don't leave the group. We love you. We love you.
We love you.
We have another written message here from Eliza Love, and I don't know what Eliza sounds like, so I think I might just try to do like a little British accent here, because I don't know, why not?
God help us all.
But yeah, I don't know. Let's just do it.
I want you to do it. I am in no way willing to vouch for this.
Right? No, I'm sorry. I apologize, but
I expect an absolute train wreck, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, it'll probably be. Eliza Love, everyone. I don't do voicemails, but I wanted to say...
This is already getting really bad, and I love it very much. Why is she a bad Patrick Stewart?
Oh, because that's the only Patrick Stewart I know how to do.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna try to stay quiet while you do this.
All right. I don't do voicemails, but I wanted to say I can't do it now.
I don't know if I can let you do it. I'm gonna laugh the entire time. I think you're just gonna have to read this.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not doing it, guys.
That is tragic.
It is. It's really bad. It's actually pretty good if I have a cold.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
If you have a heavy cold, you can do Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
But no. It's not where we are right now.
All right.
Neither of the sirs shall ye be.
All right. I don't do voicemails, but I wanted to say congratulations on 500. This is one of the first podcasts I ever listened to, and it is my favorite. When I started listening, you guys were still doing casts for each individual show, and I was just looking to hear someone else's opinions on the shows I loved so much. I started with the CW shows, expanded to Gotham and Lucifer, then I started listening to the TV news episodes, and even though I knew nothing about the DCEU, I eventually started listening to those news episodes too. You are why I know anything about anything when it comes to the movies, and why I was super giddy when I watched the Shazam trailer. I even gasped on the 3rd of July when I came across the Comic Book Resources article about the Batcat spoilers Dave is now actively censoring, specifically for Scott. I have never read a comic book in my life, but I couldn't wait for the next cast to see what people in our little community would say about it. So thank you for the hours and hours and hours that you've put into this. It truly brightens up my week, and I look forward to listening for another 500 episodes. You know, I joked around with the British. I actually cried when I read this. I got a tear.
Honestly, I was kind of so touched and choked on myself. I actively sent that to you and was like, "Please read this."
Yeah, I had not seen it, and he sent it to me. So thank you so much. I hope you're not,
but bottom line, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited that you're excited about more things now. And as negative as we are, it amazes me that we have been any part of that.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a voicemail here from Patrick Forceps Painting on Twitter, and here's the voicemail.
Hey, this is Patrick. You know me as Forceps Training on Twitter. Just say congratulations on your 500th episode. I just started recently listening to you guys. I'm going to get your couple thoughts on a couple things from Man of Steel 2 that a lot of us looking forward to it coming out someday. First, who would you like the main villain to be? And then do you have any thoughts on what you like the general plot? And finally, I know that Death of Zod by Superman's hand, the first Man of Steel, has split the fandom. So would you like Man of Steel 2 to address that in Superman's no-kill policy? All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.
All right, so here's the thing, man. A lot of people keep talking about how they want to see a Man of Steel 2, and I do, but I feel like Batman v Superman was Man of Steel 2. Like, I kind of just want to see a Superman standalone, but I don't really want it to be too associated with Man of Steel, because I feel like without Snyder in the mix, it's not going to feel like Man of Steel. So why even, evoke that? And I honestly, I'm a little afraid they might get too close to the, Donner-esque mustache twirling villains. I don't really have a plot in mind. I would be fine with, Brainiac or Lex Luthor, Conduit. This one you don't hear about much.
There you go.
I seriously just looked over and I've got a Conduit action figure standing here in my little Death of Superman shelf. Anyway,
Stream of conscious. Oh, sure, that guy.
Yeah, okay, Conduit, why not? Sure, other people might have gone with Parasite or, Maxima or somebody, but no, I'm going with Conduit.
That's my
Cyborg
C villain I'm pulling out of nowhere.
No. I always did like Maxima, though.
I feel like, though, you don't have hopes for this particular universe in some ways.
I don't know. I don't
so much
want
as
to
you
say
have
universe.
All right, it's more like you have fears.
Yeah.
Forgive me. It feels like sometimes you're just like a dog standing in the yard with one of those the perimeter choke collars.
Yeah, the little shot collars.
Yeah, just standing in the yard and the night before because you saw him through the window that your owner changed where all the perimeter settings are, and you're just staring at the yard wondering which blade of grass is going to shock me. That's a lot of how I feel like sometimes you when people are talking about these IPs. That's what you feel like.
To me, I think there's a part of me that goes you know what, we should do Toyman, and he could have I don't know, a giant robot, like Power Rangers or whatever. I don't even know I can't remember what those are called now. It'd be like Superman versus the Transformers.
Versus the Green Ranger. I don't know if I get scooped.
No, the giant robots. Toyman has used giant robots.
Yeah, many a time.
Yeah, so it could be like Superman versus Transformers. That's about as much as I'm hoping for, because I don't think Warner Brothers is looking to do the kind of depth that I'm looking for in a Superman movie. I have my problems with Man of Steel. I have my problems with some of the way Snyder approached certain characters and certain arcs. But I got no problem with his themes. His themes are on point, and
the themes are on point.
I feel like Superman should be a somewhat controversial. In fact, one of my problems with Man of Steel is it wasn't controversial enough. I feel like he should have been, or he should be more of a borderline religious figure in the world, and I absolutely hope that any sequel would deal with, or at least mention Zod's death being the impetus for the no-kill policy. That is exactly what caused it in the comics. Superman always kills Zod. I continue to be surprised by the geekdom for their rage regarding that act in Man of Steel.
No, it should...
Assholes, it always happens.
If you're going to bring up General Zod, it should be the way to do it.
Yeah.
And my deepest fear, the nightmare, is you do some kind of black light, darkest night, blackest night, backdoor introduction of the Green Lanterns where General Zod, he has to kill him again. That would be the worst thing that could possibly happen.
And see, but I feel like forgive me, I feel like the best thing you could do for a Man of Steel 2 or Superman standalone, the best idea for it would be to introduce Supergirl and have her introduced there. But I also think the best usage of Superman right now for the foreseeable future is to show up as a cameo or in a co-starring role in some other superhero movie, just to, highlight how important he is to the universe. But I've always felt like that's the best place Superman.
I mean, I
works.
like the idea of a Man of Steel too, just because
Okay.
I love the Henry Cavill portrayal. But
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know nothing I've said says I don't want Cavill there.
I know. I'm just saying, I like his enough that I would love to see a solo Superman film, and I'm perfectly okay with some of the rumor mill right now is like, oh, it's gonna be Superman versus Black Adam. Okay, that sounds fantastic. I would be down with that. I mean, if you go through the catalog, like Toyman, maybe not enough. Like Parasite, even. Then you're just kind of dealing with, hey, what if somebody else had Superman's powers? And we just did that in Justice League. We just fought Superman. You can't fight Superman again.
Right.
Even Brainiac, as much as I love him, as a villain for Superman, he's the kind of guy that, like, if you showed me him in this universe, there's a part of me that would want to see Batman. And I would feel I would be a little left wanting. And I also kind of want there to be like a Superman standalone film where we don't have to bring in Batman. Like, that's what happened to Man of Steel 2, is they mentioned Batman in a freaking pitch meeting, and suddenly that was Superman versus Batman. Like, it just barreled out. Like, Snyder kind of said, like, hey, once I mentioned the two in the same room, it was over. Like,
yeah.
Like, if you keep going through some of the big ones, like Darkseid, maybe, but we're not there yet. Mongol, I don't know, maybe. That's a serious maybe for me.
That could, Warworld could work.
That
I don't
could work.
feel
You
like
get
it
them out,
would-
but then you're gonna maybe get some like Ragnarok backlash.
I mean, I liked Ragnarok, so
you're gonna get all the criticism about like, oh, they're just following like.
Yeah, absolutely.
To some
you're gonna get
extent,
criticism no matter what.
You are gonna get
That's the
criticism
problem.
to like no matter what. You're gonna get criticism to some extent, though. If you could do a better thing and not get that criticism, go for it. Like if creatively there are two paths and one of them will keep Twitter off your ass, take the other path. So
I don't think that's possible anymore.
I know, but I know. I feel like a lot of what we do is cover. Here's what bullshit Twitter did today.
Yep.
Anyway, Metallo. Keep moving down the catalog. Metallo
has always bored the shit.
The shit out of me, and we've already addressed Kryptonite in a way that's like I'm okay with just moving on from that. Toyman could be really interesting if you came up with somebody that was that devious. Like if you came up with someone who was a little above this universe's Bruce Wayne as far as intelligence and really pushed it, that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But same time, Toyman's gotten a lot of play recently on other properties, with the Shield, so I'm good. Honestly, I mean, we've already covered Doomsday. I know there's a rumor out there that like Doomsday is still, he's still out there, and we didn't see the real one, and this is just like I don't want to do all that. We had him. There was a lot of honestly remorse about having him. I think we should just move on, frankly. Like we showed him, didn't work on all levels. I think we just called it a day. And there's a part of me that even with some of the stories you can do with some of the Darkseid universe, there's a part of me that kind of wants to see like I kind of would like to see like a what do you get for the man who has everything kind of thing. But again, recently we've seen
an imaginary tale.
Yeah, but it is and isn't. You could do it in a real universe where most of the movie happens, but I would be pissed about that. It would be nice to see, but that's like that's a flittering dream of mine.
I mean, the closest thing I have to like my perfect thing that at this point, and I would love to see Superman and Batman in Adventures in the Fifth Dimension.
Yes.
I want to see Batmite and Mixia Spitlick team up and torment Superman and Batman. I want it to be Cavill and Affleck, and I want Ambush Bug up front involved in it as well.
Yeah, but I want that after Batfleck and Henry Cavill get a movie. I don't want that right now. I want that one movie from.
I'm good.
I want that in about 2022. That would be ideal for me.
Yeah.
Like for now though, I know some people aren't on board, but I just wanted to face Lex Luthor.
Yeah. I think
That's
that might
what I
be
really
the best
want right
case. The only thing is I feel like Lex Luthor, if I see him again, I'm looking for the Legion of Doom to be around.
He's already introduced the idea. Like I just want Superman if it's not Black Adam, which I still think is maybe the best idea, if it's not going to be him, I still want it to be Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way to take it. And surely,
Probably.
surely they can take some notes about the Eisenberg performance and kind of adapt a little bit. Like, I liked it. I really liked it. But I'm sure there are ways you can adjust it that'll get a few more people on board.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can take notes, man. You can adjust. It's I don't know, man. That's still where you go with it for me. You already have it in universe. You already have a Legion of Doom that's being built in universe. And against all that, you have Superman.
My only real fear with Luthor is that anything he does is going to be some, crazy plan, and we've already seen that with BVS.
No, that's actually what I would like the most about this, is he's building a Legion of Doom. Like, now he's tried to outsmart these people.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's going to do brawn versus brawn. Like, that would be where you take the movie to be.
Yeah, he did that with Doomsday, though.
No. I mean, he took one guy versus that. Now you take all the guys that are there, all the people you think you know, and like, for him, it's always going to be chess pieces. So you take all.
So you straight up want to see the Legion of Doom versus Superman?
Yes,
you want to see
exactly, and I want to see that with Lex Luthor having a backup plan for when they lose. And here's my last strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And it would not hurt my feelings at all if that last strategy was an Omega symbol. I think that would be a fine taste, like a fine place to take the films.
I can't help but feel like the Legion of Doom is like a Justice League type of story.
Yeah, but we may not get another Justice League. Like, we just may not get that.
There will be another one, but eventually we will. But
I mean,
who knows if anybody will be involved?
At this point, like, that's an act of faith. Who knows? Like, there will eventually be, but there may be another entire universe with different people. And I don't know. Like, yeah, for me, it would be like Superman versus Legion of Doom, led by Lex Luthor, and then, somewhere in the darkest moment, save the cat thing. It's because Lex Luthor had a backup plan the entire time, and that kind of thing. That would be a compelling film to me.
All right, I can do that.
Good Lord, we went on about that one.
I know that was a surprise.
Is it tomorrow yet?
Almost. All right, we got a voicemail here from J. Scott Sinclair, a longtime listener.
Hey, Dave and Jason. J. Scott Sinclair here. Hey, I've been listening to you guys, but I haven't interacted too much as far as social media and whatnot goes. So I definitely wanted to drop a line and congratulate you guys on episode 300 and all the other big milestones in your guys' lives respectfully. With that said, I wanted to provide you with a platform to just really pitch your perfect Blue Beetle and Booster Gold team-up movie. Who would you cast? What kind of comedic tone would you go for? And who would they face off against? Looking forward to the discussion. Thanks for the content, fellows. Keep up the good work. And as always, keep some DC on your screen.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you.
I think my perfect Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie would be with, as I've mentioned before, Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson playing Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, respectively.
Still ideal.
Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk. I know I'm a typecasting bastard, but that's what I want.
Also ideal, yeah. 100%
I would honestly want
endorsement of both of those.
Absolutely. And I would want a trilogy, and I would want the first movie to be like Booster going back in time. Maybe Skeets picks up some time distortion. Booster freaks out, thinking he messed with the timeline or caused a problem, but it's actually Ted Kord fighting Kronos, the time thief.
Nice.
Helps take him out. They become friends. And the big bad of that movie might be Black Beetle coming through, like a harbinger of the coming Reach, because Black Beetle uses Reach technology.
Sure.
And the second movie would involve Maxwell Lord, Ted having terminal cancer. Ted would, know that he has terminal cancer and wind up sacrificing himself, probably for Booster.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third movie would involve the invasion of the Reach, Booster going back in time because he needs help from an oblivious to his own forthcoming demises, Ted Kord. And I would probably introduce Jaime Reyes or something.
Sure. Oh yeah, it's time.
In there somewhere, and like slowly be leading up to him being Blue Beetle in the third movie throughout all three movies. I think that's what I do. It's a thin outline, but
well, somewhere in there the Skeets glitch of the time is because all along he was supposed to reach back in time to correct the time frame entirely, and then later learned that Skeets maybe knew the whole thing was supposed to happen, so he just had to let that happen as it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then still somewhere you can see it in Kronos Kronos, he's more powerful than like one time loop. You can still like seed in an entirely different movie. Like that could be another Justice League movie for all we care. Like just Kronos reaching his damn hand in one more time. Yeah. That's I'm digging all that.
Like Kronos is one of those villains where he's ridiculously powerful, but also ridiculously cheesy. Like he's so silly that he would be perfect for a Blue Beetle Booster Gold movie. And I honestly really just love what they did with him on Justice League Action. So
I still feel like he should be the straight man. Yeah, like that would be definitely a kind of movie where that. Well, you also have to like in your version of this, is it more of a action comedy or more of a regular action film with consequences kind of thing?
I would say a comedy action with heart.
Okay.
There's not going to be a dry eye when Ted bites it, man.
Like Cornetto trilogy kind of situation?
Yeah, probably closer to that, yeah.
Okay.
Or the breakup with Vince Vaughn, yeah.
Yeah, that one did the same thing. I get it. See, it's good for that. Like, I get why you pick these people. Like, even like Marley and Me or whatever. Still a romp, and then you just bawl for a little while. I get it. I do get it, and I dig it, and I want it, and I'm going to do everything except start a petition because I am so tired of those damned things.
Right.
I'm going to hope wildly. I'm going to dream vividly, and think greatly, but I will not start a petition.
Yeah, that's that just means you're salt of the earth, man.
Wander into my backyard and gesture into the moon, but not doing that.
Gesture into the moon.
Not doing that whole petition situation.
All right. Put a Buckeye in your pocket and do the incant.
Yeah. Stand exclusively on my left foot for 4.5 minutes. Chant Recalla, Recalla, Recalla 14 times.
Right.
And then cut my left ankle.
Look to the east. Watch out for a black rider on a white horse.
Right.
Oh man.
I will do so much as read Atlas Shrugged 2 times and then hope at the end of it. I'm just not there's no way.
All right, well,
those damnable
petitions. I think I'm going to officially call it.
Are we
but we do have a Jordan Valdez voicemail. He's going to be talking about Batcat and Tom King, and the Dio, as it were, and a voicemail from the old Witter Woman. So we still got a lot to show. We're just, there's spoilers, and then there's people who don't like Witter Woman. Actively, vocally do not like Witter Woman. I like Witter Woman.
There's real hate there.
I enjoy Witter Woman when it's fresh. And it's been a while, so I think we might have some fun with it. And there's an upgrade to the production, I'll say. It looks like.
Yeah, Witter Woman done got her an iPhone.
Something's happened. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. For everyone who sent in a voicemail, your check is in the mail. We couldn't find any willing females. 205.
Seriously, thank you so much.
Yeah,
good God,
absolutely.
It's a lot of content. Anyone who's been on any part of the ride, I don't know how to thank you enough. Bless you.
Absolutely.
Please have a good
voicemail,
evening, night, or morning.
Be a part of the continuing adventure. 205-259-6331 to leave us a voicemail, or come join us. Facebook.com/groups/DC On Screen Podcast. Until next week, keep some DC on your screen. And we have a voicemail from Jordan Valdez of the Multiverse Musings podcast talking about Tom King, Dan DiDio, and of course, Batcat.
What's up, Dave and Jason? This is Bat Jordan Valdez calling in once again. I wanted to respond to, first off, Dave's question about what I thought of DiDio's comments. Obviously, I strongly disagree with DiDio's take on things. Basically, here's the way I see it, and here's why I disagree with him. It's that, yes, Batman and much of the Bat family are born out of tragedy, but here's the thing about Batman. Basically, he thought he could never be happy again. When that happened, he thought he could never find happiness again, and even Tom King added a new element to that in I Am Suicide, where essentially Bruce contemplated suicide, and then he realized, you know what, I can, even though I'm never going to find happiness, or so he thought, I can dedicate my life to instead of pursuing my own happiness, to trying to make sure that other people don't suffer similar tragedies so that they can live happy lives, okay? And then he meets Catwoman, and he falls in love with Catwoman, and I see Catwoman as being a turning point in that story where Bruce realizes that he can have happiness. He tells her at the beautiful scene at the end of Heart of Hush that I adore, he says, "You were the first to touch my heart and remind me I still had one." And I think that's so powerful, and I mean, that's the way I see it, is that Bruce thought he couldn't find happiness, and then he found it with Selina. And so what I would say about Batman issues number 51 and 52 that I love so much, I know Jason mentioned them briefly, is that these stories are reinforcing why Holly's notion that she implanted in Selina's mind that Bruce can't be Batman if he's happy. These issues are sort of reinforcing how wrong that notion is, and that Bruce is a better Batman with Catwoman, and then he needs Catwoman. And we see how much he's lost his way without her in the aftermath of what happened in issue number 50. And I think that's so beautiful, as much as it breaks my Batcat heart. So I really love that. I just hope that, I disagree with the Dio, obviously. I just hope that, obviously I do think that Tom King, however, does see Bruce and Selina as Endgame, and I hope that the Dio is allowing him to tell the story that he wants to tell. So yeah, that's the way I see things. So, I also wanted to mention just real quick that, I'm really excited about the Super Pets animated movie, because I love the Crypto the Superdog animated series. So if it's anything like that, I think I'm really going to adore this movie. So anyway, I'll just close out by saying Batcat forever, from the first kiss to last. I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Oh, Jordan, man. Well, I don't know. I hope it all works out for you. I honestly don't have a dog in the fight, I don't care if the man's a bachelor or a betrothed man. As long as he's a Batman, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I also haven't read this stuff. What do you think, man? What do you think, Jason?
First of all, Jordan and I both have a dog in this fight, and we're excited about that movie. That thing sounds fantastic. But I get his point. I do. I get it. Batman's a little lost right now. And honestly, they've done more introspective work with Batman than they have with Catwoman in her separate book at the moment. But and I don't know where that's going to land. Part of where you kind of have to land with it right now is just Tom King has how many issues left? Like 50 issues or something. He's got plenty of time with this book. He's going to be around for a while. He clearly has a plan, and it's arguable whether this proves that he's better or worse as Batman with love in his life. To some extent, you kind of get how what they're showing is Batman had this love in his life, and there were some freaking amazing scenes, but it also caused, it actually instigated one of the greatest Joker moments I've ever seen. It really brought out the worst in the city against him, and that hasn't pulled up at all. That's still in the background, is that some of the worst things are ahead of him. The fact that he was in love is still a huge problem. So to some extent, maybe it was good for him, and maybe he could still be Batman, but maybe it was also kind of what we thought for a while, the thing that really does loosen his guard. Maybe he does have to be the Dark Knight 24 hours a day, pretend to be Bruce. He doesn't have that outlet. There's plenty of time in Tom King's run, but both of those ideas, I like that they're both being played with right now. It's a lot of fun for me.
Do you think Dan DiDio is just playing the role of the villain to make fans think that
it honestly occurred to me?
Won't let?
Swear to God, that was one of the first things. It was one of the first things that occurred to me reading that. Was he's fucking with us. He knows where this story's going. Tom King has this thing mapped out for a couple of years, man. He's got plans that this. The next few months, whatever press release is happening right now, he's basically, Dan DiDio is going to, I think exactly what you're saying, kind of play the villain a little bit. Yeah, we're never going to do that, and then let it happen. Yeah, we're never going to do that and let it happen. And he's allowed to. He's the publisher. We all know he's kind of going to lie to us. We expect him to. We want him to. I don't want him to come out and do a press conference where he's like, oh, it's so funny. Yeah, that thing you're worried about is not going to happen. I don't want that. That's terrible.
Yeah, But he's done the opposite. He's like, hey, that thing you're excited about is not going to happen.
I know. That's bad press conferencing.
Uh-huh.
That can happen too, but I don't want the, I don't want the opposite to happen either.
I'm like, holy cow, man. What are you, some kind of pro wrestling villain? What is wrong with you, Didio?
He should kind of be a heel sometimes. He really should. Like he
does a good job of it.
Like when you're a heel and all right. It's the same thing as like when the Avengers trailer, when the Infinity War trailer lied to us, we kind of applauded it thinking, good show, old gentleman, good show.
Mm-hmm.
When like Star Trek Into Darkness lied to us, we're like, yeah, you just said he wasn't going to do that, and then he did, you asshole.
All right, yeah.
Those are different things. Like if your writer is talking about like, yeah, I've got some plans for this and this and this, and the big swell of problem is, surely you're not going to do this, and then you kind of bait it one way. Like, you can work with your writer to bait the audience certain ways. That's one thing. Just lying to us is different.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Didio in this particular example is necessarily just lying to us. I feel like he may just be playing the game, and I can applaud that.
I'd like to put my size 15 in J.J. Abrams' mystery box, if you get me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conjure my meaning there.
I don't know if we'd be able to see the particular shot over the flares. He recently apologized for that. Did you see that?
No.
I swear if you look it up, there's like some... Into
Darkness specifically, or?
No, the lens flares in that series in general. He kind of said something along the lines of like, yeah, I mean, I used it, and then I liked it, and then I kept using it, and he honestly like compared his use of lens flares to addiction. Like, eventually someone kind of points out it's gone too far, and you're like, oh God, what have I done?
Yeah, and then he does it even more.
Apparently it was afterward. It was already printed in theaters, done on DVD. But someone kind of pointed out to him. And he went, oh, Lord, what hath I wrought?
Yeah, for which one, though? Because we all pointed it out to him in the first one. And then he did it even more in the second one.
I don't know. I don't know when I read that. I have no source. I think it's out there, though.
Yeah.
And what I read was in quotations.
Sure. You got anything else on Batcat and Jordan?
No. I'm looking forward to what's going on here.
All right, we got one more message. Now, we received a strange message in our inbox titled, Your Good Little Fellers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to attempt to explain the spellings here.
No.
Or the capitalization.
I saw those. Walk away.
It is, we have a screenshot of it. It's in the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
But this email comes from Myrtle Manus, a.k.a. the Witter Woman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever actually known that was the Witter Woman's name. I've heard the phrase, but I just thought it was hokum. I just thought it was gobbledygook.
I like it for a name, though.
It's a fine thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the message
their shift key is done.
What's what?
It's over. That shift key is...
Yeah.
It's spent.
So yeah, we have us a little message here from Myrtle Manus, the Witter Woman. And she writes, I done went to Emery's house, and he has one of them newfangled Victrolas.
I think Emery has been mentioned before.
I do think that's true,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And he made a voice tape of my congratulations to you fellers. I can't use the damn party line no more, 'cause that damn Ermeline Spratt, you guys, is on there ratchet jawing every minute of the damn day. If you're gonna cast them pods around, ye ought to shell them first, or the seeds won't grow next year. And
the ratchet jawing in particular made me laugh.
And well, here's the voice tape, as it were.
Well, I heard y'all fellers was a celebrating, and I thought my good old Witter Woman might brighten up your day. Well, I heard y'all talking about that dark side, and I figured he must be in that Star Trek or something, if he's on the dark side or the light side. I don't know if they got them light swords, but they shove at each other and do all that kind of foolishness. But anyway, I hope you have you good, and that Green Lantern now that we can't don't see much on your porch with the green lantern. You need to put a candle in it. Well, I hope you have a good one and have you a real nice time. Don't worry about me none. I'm just sitting here with a crust of bread and some water, and I'll be all right. And nobody cares about no little widow woman sitting here in the dark. But don't you worry about me. I'll be all right. And you have a good one, and God bless.
I still don't know what to do with this.
I'm still as lost as ever. And
it's produced as hell.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell.
Good God.
I loved
it's a whole new level.
I loved the banjos and stuff in the background.
Yeah.
I dug it.
That was an entirely different set of situations. It's really like, it feels like Wonder Woman just kind of wandered around town, as I feel like she often would, and found herself wandering into a door, probably expecting to walk into a grocer of some kind, and then walking past that door because it didn't have produce as she was expecting, and then just talking into the ether, which happened to be the mic nearest, and just kind of sounding louder than the band behind her, who was probably like, that was their big chance to kind of break out, and she just kind of wanders in and talks over them and ruins that recording, and then the people who were in charge of the studio, who I guess couldn't afford security, are just like, well, I'm sorry guys, that was your shot. Well, and she just wandered off and later found the actual grocer and went back to her home.
I mean, she said she was at Emery's house, though.
She said that, but it didn't sound like that.
Wonder Woman's a lot of things, but she's never been a liar.
That's fair. And there was a mention of...
She's not wrong.
A mention of a Victrola. That's more of a playback device, though. I don't know.
She's not wrong about shelling the pods before you cast them.
No. That's good gardening there.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're done.
We have to be. We just talked. That puts us right in the ground. We just talked about the gardening aspect of the whole thing. Let's just bury this. We'll see what happens next time.
All right. We'll be back next week, ratchet jawing at you. Until then, keep some DC on your screen, guys. Our opening narration was from Dan Jurgens' The History of the DC Universe, Part 3 of 10, as featured in DC 52, Week 4. It was performed by me, David C. Robertson. Intro music by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Future Elevators, can be found on Spotify or future-elevators.com. Our introduction was performed by Effie Ophelders of the fantastic podcast Stealing the Remote, which lives on SoundCloud. It can also be found on iTunes and Stitcher. We are proudly in partnership with TV Time, TV show calendar and social media site that lets you keep track of what you're watching, what your friends are watching, and where you all left off. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. Visit maladjusted.tv for more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, an improvised web series, vlogs, parodies, and more.
Are you maladjusted? We all love the low country lifestyle, which is why we should do our best to protect it. To get insurance that helps you protect your home from whatever the low country throws at you, contact CT Lowndes & Company today. Their local agents can review your coverage to help make sure you're properly protected. CT Lowndes & Company has been helping protect and insuring the low country since 1850. Visit ctlowndes.com to learn more and request a quote. That's CTLOWNDES.com.